No,
Me,
you don't.
I was sitting up.
How much you get changed, yeah.
You're gonna. Can we
That
run
is
with
definitely the start of the podcast. It's got to be.
It's time you can start.
Okay, we're
Hey.
You need to run with the crazy frog. Remember that?
Okay, welcome to MTDCNC's Uncut podcast.
I was
where we're
thinking more
talking.
hungry hippos. That's what I was talking about.
Did anybody else look at Paul then and just see the brain just ticking along?
Just
waiting
call
for
me a
that?
hungry hippo.
Hungry,
Literally.
Hungry, not hippo. Yeah.
Well,
me a
this has gone south very quickly.
You know those things that they go out like that.
Hungry hippo.
Hungry hippo. Yeah. So basically, my boss just called me a hungry hippo, which I do like to eat, so it's fair. Okay, let's
Yeah,
start
but
this.
It's probably another game he's bought off TikTok.
Yeah, you do like TikTok, don't you? So let's talk about hungry hippos to Donald Trump.
I don't know how you got that connection.
No.
Orange to green or green to orange.
Yeah,
Whichever.
but could you say the hungry hippos go out and get the food and he's going out kind of get all the tariffs?
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
where
Set
we're
you
at.
off. Let you
Yeah.
let you go now.
And what a time,
Yeah.
isn't it, in our history? To be doing this today with what happened in the markets Thursday and Friday last week and today again.
Yeah.
So much disruption with his decisions, and where's it going to lead?
Well, can you just explain in layman's terms exactly what he's done, and then we'll have a little chat about it.
So he's just putting tariffs on countries for when they import products, and people are trying to put reciprocal tariffs on him now, and it's just becoming just seems to be becoming a game. I mean, his overall ambition is obviously to make more in America, to make the American economy stronger. How successful it will be in time, I don't know. I mean, long term, you can't complain at the vision, I guess.
No.
It's something that, you'd look at it in any country and think is a good thing. But it's the short term impact.
I think if any country did it, though, everyone's going to look at him and go, we should be doing that. Why don't we make more here? But there's better ways of going about it.
Yeah, well, it's not. Again, it's not that simple, and I think it's very easy. And I love the way he got up with his board and he started talking about the different countries.
It's like a soap opera, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think behind the scenes, they probably sit there and go, "Go on, Donald, how are you going to make this look when you get up there?" And he's,
They probably
he
only
just
gave him
loves
2 minutes before, and he
Yeah.
needed it because he can't remember what he's done for who.
Yeah. Do you think he's got a? Do you think he has an earpiece and stuff?
What, they're relaying the
Well,
numbers
no,
to him? What
he
he's
lost
saying?
the bottom of his ear, though, didn't he? So
Oh,
he
yeah,
wasn't
he
able to
did,
get it in the left one or the right one. But no, it's a really, really interesting time, and I've spent a lot of time over the weekend watching YouTube and listening to different opinions.
We can tell by the
different
suntan.
podcasts with different people's opinions, how it's going to impact people. What he's trying to achieve long term, I kind of get it and I see it, but I just think short term, how difficult is it going to be to implement? What impact is it going to have on the global economy? You know more than me.
I don't know.
I
After
doubt
all
that.
the podcasts you've been listening to, can't
Yeah,
you?
no, I doubt that. But there's different theories. You talked about reshoring product. That seems an obvious one. We'd love to do that here. In fact, we talk about it a lot, don't we? How can we make products on our own shore? There's talk about they want to crash the stock market on purpose so they can bring down interest because they've got to refinance all these trillions and trillions of dollars worth of debt that's due for refinancing soon. So let's just say, might be storming a teacup, and he might just be, well, you take my tariff off and I'll take mine off yours. Because most countries do have tariffs on America. We do, but even before this, we had 10% tariff the other way. So I guess he would argue there's a deficit there, so why shouldn't I do it to you? So it's a complex argument. But yeah, it's interesting times to be alive, isn't it?
And if you read it, there was one particular company, Nike, where they've got a turnover of around 51 billion, I think it is. And with these tariffs, because the majority of the product is either sourced in Vietnam, China, Indonesia, and they've been levied with these huge tariffs. So it's going to have an impact to the tune of £14 billion on their products. So, who's going to pay for that? It's going to be the consumer. I mean, Joe wears a pair of Nikes. He probably won't be able to afford to next time we're sitting here.
He'll still be wearing the same pair.
Still be wearing the same pair. But so the consumer is essentially when from my perspective, I think that it's a great thing to want to do. I think it will push inflation up in the States because it's not just about the importing of the product, which is going to become more expensive. It's about, even if you're making stuff in America and you need to get the raw materials,
It's the
and the other
materials
products
that I
from
think
other
about.
countries too. So there's so many knock-on effects. Things will become more expensive. They would say that the Americans would be happy to maybe pay for more or pay more for things now to protect the future of their nation. I question that because I think if you ask the general person, they'd go, "Ooh, well, actually, really, am I going to have to pay more now?"
But everyone's not. I don't know about the US, but if you talk to anyone in the UK, everyone goes, "God, everything's expensive now." You know, you buy 3 or 4 things from the supermarket, and you're on £7 to £12 in just 3 or 4 items quite quickly. So then, how can that be long term? The consumer is constantly paying. How does that?
And time will tell, won't it? Yeah, time will tell. If you look at the States. Obviously, with the electoral cycle, he's got to get it right pretty quick. Because if they go into a mass tumble down a hill financially, he's not going to get in again, is he? So in which case, whoever comes in, probably going to go back to similar where we are now. So it's an interesting one. But where's your iPhone made? That's $1 trillion company. That's $1 trillion company, and it's designed in California, but nothing's made there.
And the markets are the really interesting one. When you see what's happened on Thursday and Friday and subsequently today, where's that going to end? People are clearly worried about their pensions. They look at it and they go, gosh, look at if you retired a week ago and you sort of forecasting your future, you could have lost 10 to 15% of your. But then markets, people would say with markets they go up and down. You've got to be in it for the longer term. But I mean, even in Ireland is listening to a guy talking about the Irish market and how much they do with the US when it comes to medical and pharmaceutical. Yeah. And you can't just transfer all of that intellectual intelligence, the capacities, the people. And build and the technologies, it's not something you can just do in a year, 2. It's 5-10 years. So, where, with the greatest respect, Donald Trump, I don't know how old he is, 78, 79, maybe. This whole thing is going to outlive him. So, what's his win in it for it? That's what people would say as well. Is this truly him looking after, the middle and the working class? What else has he got to gain? That's a question.
Yeah, difficult one, isn't it?
And for us, I mean, the automotive sector, that's 20-25% tariffs on that. How much is that going to impact our industry?
There's been news about JLR about that as well.
They're not shipping cars to the States any longer. Time will tell what happens with that. Obviously, they do manufacture in India. India have just dropped their tariff, I think, Friday, maybe, can't remember. Or over the weekend, whatever. India have dropped their tariff on America, 0 tariff. So if America do the same, it's cheaper to buy a Jaguar Land Rover from India than it is the UK.
So there's probably a few games and things that are going to play out here with where things are made around the world. But for me, globalisation, and he would say this isn't against globalisation, but I just think that some of these lower cost, what we consume in our country, that comes from different places in the world that costs less. That's globalization, and it makes for a better society in a lot of terms. So we wouldn't be able to sustain our lifestyles and buy the things that we buy for the same prices if these things weren't like they are.
Hasn't Elon Musk posted a video about a pencil and saying all the components of the pencil, the paint that colours it on from the outside, it's from this country, the lead, where's that from? But you needed the metal to be sourced, the steel to create the saw that made that, chop down the tree. So it's about bringing we need everybody involved. So,
but interesting that he's posting that, because some would maybe consider that to be a controversial post in some senses from him, but,
Yeah, obviously with his friendship with the president, but maybe saying, look, we're not abandoning you all. You just need to come to the party. I do think this is just a big game of cat and mouse. I do think he just wants everyone sat around a virtual table and they're going to get deals, pro-American deals probably. But he will be sat there thinking, there's a deficit. I spend more with you than you spend with me, and you're taxing me for it, and that's not fair. I think that's what he's trying to put.
But I think from our perspective, when we look at the industries and we look at the automotive, we spoke about aerospace was another one, and I was just talking, in fact, to Lee Scott from Starag a short time ago, and he was, in fact, I missed half of his message that he left back to me, but he was talking about like the 737.
He will get back to you, Lee, don't worry.
Where it's made, and I think 30% of it is made in Japan, which is now subject to 30% tariffs.
Pretty expensive now.
A lot of it's made in Europe, which is now subject to 20% tariffs. We've got 10% tariffs. So does that mean that we're going to get an opportunity to make more parts here, or are they just simply going to make them in America? It's
tricky, isn't it? 10% can be gained on the shop floor, I think. I know it's a bit of a generalisation, but I would hope most companies could try and get 10% out of a component. Certainly if the government help with new machines, your automation levels, things like that. But as soon as you start talking 20, 25%, it's just impossible, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, what does it mean for the UK manufacturer at the moment? I think you've got to keep going. You've got to do the things that we talk about, automate, become competitive, and I think we have to look at this as from an advantageous perspective, being now out of the EU, that we've got less restriction to their market than a European country has.
It's quite interesting because we recently went to Czech Republic, and when I spoke to one of the guys there and I said about being in the EU, and he said, oh no, it's really difficult being in the EU. You're in a good position, and you don't hear that very often. With Brexit and everything, they said, oh no, we'd rather be in your position than ours. And I thought, I don't hear that.
I think a lot of European countries would, when Brexit happened, wasn't it? It was going to be, was it Frexit?
Grexit.
Yeah.
Nexit. Brexit. It was all of them, wasn't it? They were all talking about it, and they probably wish to some degree they had the freedom, certainly now that we have. So Keir Starmer has been so far, up to the point of this podcast, being shot Monday afternoon, quite tight-lipped, which I think is probably a good thing. He's assessing his position. And now I think is a time to become, an ally and see where negotiations can lead to make us in a really competitive position as a country.
Is he a golfer? Our leader.
I'm not sure. Is he? I don't know.
I think that's where Donald does his business, isn't it?
Well, he's coming over to see the King, isn't he, in a few weeks' time? So maybe Charlie will be.
Don't get you playing
Harry
golf.
could come over and play golf because
he's better off staying where he is, I think.
Will they play golf or the other one, the croquet?
Snooker.
No.
Yeah.
How do you play snooker?
That's the one on the horse.
Yeah.
Talking about horses, did anyone win at the Grand National?
Oh, here we go. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Did
you, Paul? Did you win at the Grand National?
Paul, can you keep this to 30 seconds? This bit. I'll time you.
What are your thoughts on that? Well, you did well, didn't you?
Well, the last podcast we did was with Chloe just before we went to Cheltenham. In fact, I went to Cheltenham the next day with Colin, and was lucky to win a lot because I just took a massive risk on. There's a horse that those are watching that will know called Constitution Hill. He was bang right favourite, and there was one behind him that was a favourite, and they both fell over in the race, and mine came through and won. So
how much did you win, Paul?
The odds were like
40
to 1. It was a reasonable amount. Put it
Quite a few zeros on that by the looks of it.
Have you heard about the new tariff, Paul? 25% tax on all winnings.
No, that's in his pension. Don't worry.
Plough it in. Yeah.
Oh dear. Right. Well, basically, MTDCNC Uncut is, just chatting about what we hear about in industry. And let's go back to the Czech job. Sorry, Tom, because you went to Sandviken, didn't you, recently? So we'll talk about that.
No, it's fine. I'll let you two talk away.
Oh, sorry. Well,
I'm looking forward to this because it's quite a cool story about Paul.
Yeah. Well, there is one because basically when we arrived, Pavel, who owns TGS, we rocked up and everything like that. And we had a little chit chat, and he's like, "There's a whole big wall as you go in there, and the whole wall is full of liqueur." And it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "Come over here, come over." And I'm just thinking he's just showing us around. No, he's getting the shots out to have a shot at like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Sounds like I'll get on with this guy.
Honestly. And then we did a video, didn't we? Ian did a video, and the funniest thing was, I got it. And I went like this, as you do, you clink, and then I went like that. And then as I came back down, everyone still had liquid in their glass, and mine was empty. And I just thought,
they're sippers.
like a little thug, thug. Yeah, I did a proper shot.
Did you not do this one?
No. But and everyone else kind of just sipped it, and I then downed it. So I felt like a right thug. But did you do the same?
Yeah. Well, because when I turned up, which was the day after you, I hadn't met Pavel, and the first thing he did was invite me upstairs to that liquor bar. Yeah. And that's, to me, that's my. I absolutely loved the hospitality, but when in the day we're all at it when we're focused and we're working and when
Never
you're
happy, is he?
when you're on camera, you've got to be one step ahead all the time. And he was like, "Here, have these shots," and I was thinking, "Oh no, we're going on camera in an hour or so's time. Is this going to be the right thing to do?" But I had one, and I'm not used to drinking things that neat. It must have been about 50% proof or something.
With that, I know when you did it. Because I was filming and then you came over and you were bright red face, like literally bright red. And then you were like this. And I was there and I thought, "Are you all right, Paul?" You were like, "Yeah, I've just had..." And you were struggling and you just had one of the shots.
Just literally ripped through the Adam's, whatever you call this bit of your esophagus, wherever it down there. Really strong. But his hospitality, their hospitality, I mean, we're talking about TGS here. The event,
you just had a shot before.
5 Axis Fair we went to. Their hospitality was great. And the Pavel, who owns the company, he actually owned a lake as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Which was right near the factory. He owned a whole lake. And also, me and Ian were lucky, he invited us out the following evening to go to one of his friends has got a house, and during COVID they converted a barn into a bar, and basically proper beer taps, dartboards, music, Guns N' Roses all over the wall, and then he had a what do you call those things where you put a bit of meat in and it cooks like a slow cooker, big slow cooker. And we went round there thinking, where's Pavel taking us? And he took us to this place, and it was to see the local culture and how they are as people was as eye-opening as looking and hearing about the economy there in the Czech Republic.
What I really took away from there is the fact that because of what they've been through in the history in the Czech Republic, we spoke to them quite a lot about, I spoke to Pavel about how he got into the industry and what he teaches his children and stuff. But he was saying that, and quite a few people said that similar, it's in people from Czech, their DNA to build, because we've gone from having nothing. When you have nothing, you have to invent, you have to create, you have to build. So within our grandparents, we've had to pull that through of kind of being self-sufficient. And they often spoke about DNA, and where a country used to be known for kind of production price, because the first thing he ever asked you when we went on the Zoom inquiring about us going over there, he said, "What do you see? What does the rest of Europe see as our economy?" And he was like, "It's just production," but so much has changed because of EV and automotive, where that's disappearing now. They can't just rest on their laurels. They are now having to add value earlier on in the process by inventing, by creating. And he was saying that that's where their strengths lie. When you've got nothing, you have to create and invent. And a lot of Czech people build their own houses. How cool is that?
What would you two think if you thought of the Czech Republic as a country and an economy? What would be your first sort of thought?
I think it's excuse me, fairly strong, based on manufacturing and leisure. What's it called?
Tourism.
Hospitality, but a strong economy. Yeah, that would be.
But for what reason when it comes to manufacturing? How would you see them? How would you see them as
fairly strong? Yeah, fairly strong. Lower cost economy when compared to us and Germany and places like that, and Italy.
For you, Tom?
I just see a lot of stuff that says made in the Czech Republic. So they must be doing well over there.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the thing when he asked us. Then he said, "What do you think? What's your perception?" He was interested in changing the perception of what people see the Czech Republic to be, and they're bordered by Slovakia, Poland, and Germany. And since the automotive issues in Germany, of course, that's had a massive impact on the Czech, because the majority of their work was automotive, and an automotive is volume. Is tolerance really that important? Well, it is to a degree, but not like a high value sector. So now they're moving into this sort of high value, mature sectors where precision is needed, response times, and in order to do that, you need technologies and solutions, and that's what they wanted us to go and show what TGS do. And to be fair, what an event! 400 people, 50 partners, no real selling.
No,
it was more about how do we make your business more productive. And there was a guy there that was actually making parts that were on the moon, weren't they? Lights for the moon.
Yes,
really
he did. Yeah, Christian. And he kind of, again, probably a little bit controversial, but he's had to get into 3D printing as well. He didn't want to, but they've created this 3D printer that's like a robotic arm, and they make a lot of these molds that go out to Ukraine for drones and everything like that. So again, controversial, won't go into it too much, but it's really interesting in terms of what they're doing and how they're helping, and it's about time and reacting quickly as well to industry.
And I think that's the whole message to me, how the Czech Republic, I learned that they really are craftsmen. They're prepared to work hard, but at the same time they can produce really sophisticated high-tech solutions. And when you talk about 3D printing, here we go. This is the Champions League trophy.
Not created in the
Tom,
Czech Republic.
how did you make that?
No,
Arsenal are going to have the real one.
created in Yorkshire.
Rotherham.
Created in Yorkshire.
That's as close as an Arsenal fan will come to a Champions League trophy anytime soon, Paul, anyway.
What are you making these on, Tom?
So I've just got a little Elegoo, I think that's how you say it. Just a little printer off Amazon. And
You're French?
Yeah,
Elegoo.
And it's obviously I was a machinist for quite a long time, so it's like I just wanted to do something, just get back into making something. I don't have a garage big enough to put a milling machine in. I did look at so I'd never done anything on 3D printing, and obviously we go and do case studies on 3D printing, and it was a few weeks ago I went to a company called 3D Print UK.
What do they do?
With Matt Sorrell. But he was telling me about how he started with a little couple £100 printer in a shed at the bottom of his garden, and now look, and I'm like, I don't really want to get to that, but the first bit
did
really.
Did this only start a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. I've only been doing it, 3 weeks maybe?
My daughter is so happy that he's doing this.
You going to see a Matsu HP installation, you thought, right, I'm doing this.
I heard his story on how he started, and he says, I just started making little trinketsy bits, keyrings and stuff. And
like
then,
ones for my daughter.
which
so
quite a few for your daughter,
Yeah.
let's be honest. And how he then went, well, wait a minute, how do I make a living out of this? And then obviously then built up to the HPs. I can't really afford one of them yet. Let's never say never. I might have one day, and it was his story on what he wanted to make and turn into a business, and now what he does actually make, which the video will be coming out soon. I don't want to. It's amazing, but it was like I spoke to him, and then I got one, and it was sort of a bit of a learning curve, but it's all just G code. Yeah. So I knew that from before, but
to make something like this, what do you do? Do you just import them?
So these two roses, the hammerhead, the whales, I made all them on my printer, but this and another thing I've got to show you in a minute, my friend actually made, because his printer's a lot bigger than mine. So I'm sort of stuck to a set size. Same as a mill machine, you buy and I printed that exact trophy, but a smaller version. It's downstairs. Joe Amos is actually using it as a pen holder. But you said you wanted a Champions League trophy, so I got the model and sent it him, and he printed it because he could print it bigger than I could.
Do you think they'll beat Real Madrid tomorrow night, Arsenal?
No, not a chance. But moving on. But then it's like you go from that, and then you print a helmet, and obviously this is printed in bits and then put together. But when I'll let you put it on. When we first started talking about 3D printing, I thought it was a lot of people. Beautiful.
That's all right. Bit of space in there.
Leave it on, mate, please.
He looks like a turtle.
But obviously, when 3D printing started, this is the perception of what 3D printing is. To most people you talk to, it's for gimmicky little things like these whales. They've actually got a hole in the back. They're a keyring holder.
They're so
you put them on. You put them on your car keys. Or we had a meeting here last Friday, and I did one of these for Chloe's daughter. And through the whole meeting, while you were talking, I could just see Chloe, and she's just
fidgets.
Just fidget.
Yeah,
just fidgeting with it.
And
it is, and there's quite a lot of research behind how fidgets and people with ADHD and stuff like that, it really helps them. And so I just started making things for the kids, and then I made the mistake of sending Lindsay. I made the mistake of sending Lindsay a picture of something I'd made, and then her daughter wanted everything. Wow!
You're gonna put it on?
I have got a large head, I will say.
Come on, put it on.
It doesn't fit.
Go on, Joe.
I can't get caps to fit, unfortunately.
Got any
Because your brain's so big. That's what
Do you know what? I think that's it, Linz. I do think it's that.
That's really, really impressive, Tom.
But it just comes to that point of
You're not resigning, Tom, are you? You're
No.
not starting a
but like
3D printing bureau.
Well, I said I've only been doing it a few
Suits you,
weeks.
the green.
I look like a turtle now.
Yeah, especially the green top one. But it's really interesting though because
So cool.
obviously I'm just printing little fidgety things and that, but then you see like what 3D Print UK we're printing, but it shows you can print things you can't machine. So like take this for example. This comes off the print. That is exactly how it comes off. I've not assembled it. I've not done anything. All the moving legs. That is how it comes off.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't machine that because you couldn't make.
And if you did, there's lots of different parts. You'd have to put them all together.
Exactly, you'd have to build it. So it's been a really quick and hard learning curve. I've had some help off some people on LinkedIn. I did put a message out the other day and got quite I was actually hoping for like one or two and got like 50 people in my inbox, and I'm like trying to read them all, but it was very helpful. And again, it shows where 3D printing was
And he's going.
and then and where it's going. And then like there's some of the stuff 3D Print UK were making didn't even look 3D printed, and that I really want to tell you about the story, but I don't because I want you to hear it from him because he but obviously the cheapest way to have a production run in plastic, let's say, made is injection molding. It is obviously it's the cheapest way, but there's a really big upfront cost because you've got to make the dies. Well, the guy from 3D Print UK had figured out how to print stuff pretty much as fast as you could injection mold it, but then without the big upfront cost.
Yeah.
So
And it's the lead time as well. You don't need to wait for the tool to be made.
Exactly, and like the HP printers are so fast, and what they give you.
Tom's
is
got a new
such
hobby.
Do you know what? It's been really interesting, but it's on the flip side of that. I've gone for like 10, 11 years of removing material to make something to now adding material to make something. It's a bit. It took a bit. But
Do you scrap money like you did on the mill?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We'll not talk about that. But it's just really good, and then obviously at some point you do find yourself just sat there staring at it,
But there's
watching it work.
you don't program
order.
it, do you?
Oh.
You put in
Elliot's
files.
bringing in
T-boy.
your
Thank you, Elliot.
Thanks, Elliot.
Thank you very much.
You just import IGES files or whatever, do you? You don't program them.
STL files, just
Yeah.
but again, I've got a bit of a project Paul set me on at the moment, which I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. Is you did a really funny April Fool's Day post
Yeah, you
Oh yeah.
with the making MTD into characters, all the staff members. Well, I'm going to try and ask a friend
Can you
who I
not
know.
reverse engineer that?
Well, what I've got is
Thanks, Elliot.
a friend I know who is very, very, very good at
Thank
modelling.
you.
I'm going to ask him to try and model them photos.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because as soon as I've got the models, I can print it.
Yeah.
Just need scanning, don't we?
So
Yeah.
I feel like, but then there's a question: is how many Lindsay Vickers do you want in this
you
world?
don't need us. I
No
said
more.
That there's more than there's one. Is enough.
But yeah, we could, and it's just good fun. It's good
Yeah.
fun. It's a nice little hobby. Like I said, I can make nice little things for like Sienna, and like these are. The only problem with the printer I've got is it's one filament at a time. You can change it manually, but this little whale here, if you can see, it's got little dots on it.
Yeah.
So on the actual model, that is a white whale with orange dots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'd have printed that exactly how it said, I would have had to have changed the filament 782 times manually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then you get this, which is just multicoloured filament. It prints
For the
multicoloured.
use, it works.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For it
Exactly.
being a little fidget
But
toy.
the problem is I've been doing this a few weeks now, and I've already found the printer I want next.
Oh
I've
gosh.
already
And then
found
next.
where I want to go to
But
next.
you're getting married
What are
soon,
you going
so you
to
can't,
next?
can you?
So yeah, there's money's tight at the moment because obviously as everybody
Can't you
knows,
print
a wedding.
some?
Print
What, a
some
wedding?
money.
A wife.
Print some money.
Yeah,
Or
totally
print a
right.
wife. Is
Print your
like-
wedding ring.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've already found the next printer I want from Bamboo Labs, which will allow me to print all different colours. It give me a bigger bed and more height. I can print more stuff. So
Do you want some advice? buy the one you want next after that.
Well,
because you've had this one about 3 weeks.
I know.
You'll have that
And
one
this,
6 weeks.
this is not sponsored by Bamboo
No,
Labs,
it's not.
by the way.
Well, the best thing is, I printed this for Paul because I thought, like Joe said, this is the closest Arsenal fan will ever get to one. But what is next already on the printer is a nice big Premier League trophy for all Liverpool fans,
Love it.
which we'll be getting, especially when we get the...
Time to move on.
Yeah, definitely.
only because you're going to have to give us the walk of God or whatever it is when we come to Anfield.
God, I thought tariffs were boring.
My God.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is coming from an Arsenal fan and a Man United. No, we'll not even start on
I'm
Man
going to
United.
stop right there, right? Let's talk materials. It's quite interesting because we went to a company called Pulpex, didn't we, the other day? And they're making, so in essence, you can explain the story here, but we went to do some filming because, of course, you've got plastic bottles and they're trying to change plastic and get rid of plastic and use pulp. What's the actual material? Because they
It's
have
like
to turn it
paper,
into
cardboard,
paper
pulp, yeah.
with water, and then it's like cardboard, but they have to have there's scientists that work there because, of course, if you put liquid in that, then there'll be a problem. So there's scientists but you can't put plastic inside it
Don't
as
say
well.
what's inside it.
Can I not say? I'm not going to say
Probably
too
not.
much. Okay, I'm not going to say too much. Ooh.
But it's not plastic, that's for sure.
No, it's not plastic, but you can put liquids inside it, and it's basically the future. It's amazing. And they came off the production line, and I held it, and you could just squeeze it like you'd expect, like a wet cardboard. But they go through different.
Throw it away once you finish it.
Throw it away, and we can't say. There's some huge brands that are working with this. No, but it's cool, but got to be careful.
amazing.
Huge brands that you'd recognise all around your household.
Yeah.
You like going to use these.
When are you going to see it in households?
Well, I don't know.
This year.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Is it that soon?
Wow.
This year, yeah. So it's
I've got some
there was
stats.
product going around, some very, very, what's the word, familiar.
I tried to say that.
Yeah, very familiar. It's one of some brands you can just look at the
I know
bottle
what
and
brand you're talking
and you
about.
know what it is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's cardboard colour. There's no colour in it at this stage, and what have you. Fascinating story.
Yeah, no, you say that, but there was colour. There was colour on the bottles.
Not in shop floor, I don't think.
Not quite, but there were. Yeah, but you'd recognise it from
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
you-
actual.
yeah.
But yeah,
Exactly.
I can't say too much.
But yeah, no, because if you go
yeah.
into Sainsbury's today, you can buy a bottle of gin that's made of cardboard, but you take the cardboard off, it's got a plastic bottle inside. Literally pointless.
Yeah.
But what Pulpex have engineered is truly a sustainable bottle.
Wow.
So
Fascinating. Just a quick one, just to give you some stats. 38 million plastic bottles are used every day in the UK. 38 million. 1.3 billion plastic bottles worldwide every day. And I don't know the exact statistics on it, but there is the smallest percentage of those that actually get recycled. And that's what's quite frightening. And so, and it is a little bit, again, controversial, but I talked to Chris about this. I'm sure you probably have, but Chris says, well, I always say, you do talk to him a lot. You know, I'm often keen on taking my own bottle out and stuff like that and reducing buying plastic bottles. But Chris often says the thing is it's been made. And what happens is it's not fair because, and a few people have said it to me recently, you can't punish the consumer. You have to punish and start at where it's being made. They have to have the responsibility. Again, quite controversial. But then is it the customer demand? Or is it, you know, there's where along the way, when we've been told that we have to be charged for plastic bags.
that's coming on bottles, isn't it? Is it this year or next year?
Oh, is it coming in on bottles?
Excuse me. Yeah, plastic
Bless you.
bottles. There will be. I think is it Germany that do it? I think. Where
They use a lot of glass.
So you take a plastic bottle back, you'll get your 10 or your 15 or your
Yeah, they have
20p,
them
whatever.
machines, don't they? Like it looks like a vending machine, but
You put it back in.
you put it back in.
Yeah.
And they give
Yeah.
you like
10
10 pence
credit.
or whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. But interesting
I've seen them
story.
before, yeah.
That would be useful.
But the machines, you can imagine, the machines have never been developed before, and we were there for the Coopers and Robo Challenge, who we all know. I used to think I was quite a good engineer back in the day, but I realised how bang average I actually was when you look at what they're
This isn't
doing.
them that have developed this, is it?
Well, clearly
Grant-
it's a Pulpex product, but they outsource a lot of the design work and stuff to Robo Challenge. And honestly, it's just like
The machines.
literally
are mega.
And
wouldn't know
he's
where to
such
start.
a clever guy, and he
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's clever because a lot of companies use like CAD from somewhere, CAM from somewhere else, and something else for the electrics and all the rest of it. But they've used Fusion for everything, which is hobbyist product type thing, which clearly it's not.
I thought
But,
I thought I could use Fusion quite well, but next to Grant, I don't know
yeah,
anything.
but no, interesting. It's a really interesting story.
Interesting. So I can't wait to see that grow, and I can't wait to see that
Is
at
it going to
home.
cost me more though for my bottle of whatever it is?
Time will tell. I can't answer that. I don't know.
They've got to grow that though, haven't they?
yeah,
They've got
yeah.
to, you
But
know.
there's a
it's in
massive market for it. Even if it does, you put two side by side on the shelf, a lot of people will go for the sustainable option.
Yeah,
Depending on price.
Yeah.
Depending on price.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Good
sat by
price.
one. Yeah, interesting store. I do think it's going to be one of them ones you walk in down Waitrose in your case probably.
Marks and Sparks, come
yeah.
on.
In like
I'll take
18 months,
M&S
and you'll be,
any day.
oh, Matty, I went to the factory where they were built,
Yeah, I will.
where
I
they were
will.
manufactured. Be one of those stores, won't it? I think.
And then still pick up the plastic one because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I used to go to, when I worked in the food industry for a bit, to where the Pom Bears were made. You know, the Pom Bear crisps.
Yeah.
Used to go in there, and they had these big, huge hoppers, and all the Pom Bears used to be feeding through the hoppers, and they used to be putting salt on them, and used to be standing there talking about the next industrial weighing machine.
And you'd be going,
And
one
you-
for
and
me,
everybody
one for
was.
you.
Yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah.
No.
You just pick them off. Yeah, pick them off the hopper. Yeah, well, it's not going. It's not like you're putting it back. You're taking it off and eating it.
But not
But they
your
wouldn't be allowed
fingers.
that nowadays.
Yeah, maybe. I went to the ones as well where they used to do chocolate raisins. You know, chocolate raisins.
Oh, I love chocolate raisins.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have wanted to go in, mate. You'd be twice your size.
Like that.
Yeah, literally, they used to get these big bags, and these chocolate raisins just used to fall in the bag. They'd grip the bag up, and occasionally, if something had happened with a bag or something, I could go away with the bag. The funniest one was I went to a company once that made Scotch eggs.
Is
You
this a
eating?
joke?
No, this is true. And I
it
drove
in
there in
Ireland?
the morning. I had a meeting all morning. I'd not eaten for hours and hours, and I was so hungry. And they used to give you product at the end. They'd go, here's your chocolate raisins, here's some Scotch eggs, here's some pork pie, wherever it is you'd been, just a courtesy sort of thing. He gave me 6 big Scotch eggs, and I was in a hurry to get home. So I drove from Scarborough somewhere all the way back to my house, and I ate all these 6 Scotch eggs. My God, I don't think I've eaten a Scotch egg since. It was just, can you imagine 6 of those things? Oh,
What was your face? Was it similar to like when you had a shot?
no, cheeks were fatter.
Have they not
Yeah,
got to be
so
made in Scotland then? Is it not
Scotch
like,
eggs?
can't
No.
think of another, there's one down south, isn't there? Cornish pasty, it has to be made in Cornwall, doesn't it?
Does it? That
Yeah.
must be making
So does a
Cornish pasty
Scotch egg not have to be made in Scotland, no?
No, I don't even know whether the Scotch is actually anything to do with Scotland, is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's not.
Talking of
Maybe,
visits,
well, maybe that's some research you can do for the next Uncut.
there you go.
So the start of the next Uncut has got to be the history
Origin
of a
of a
Scotch egg.
Scotch-
Yeah,
The
exactly. The
origin.
origin of a Scotch egg.
There we are.
We've gone a
There you
little
go,
bit
you got
off
some
Bet you
Homemade.
like
topic.
Scotch eggs, don't you?
No, I don't.
Do you not?
No.
Pork pies?
There's
Take
one.
it or leave it. Take it or leave it. I'm not a fan.
Pork pie with like pickle in it and stuff
No, I
like
don't
that?
like pickle. Blech.
I like pickles. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
On that, moving on. Talking about your visits, you're going to Rolls Royce soon, is that right?
Yeah, actually next week. Going with
Next week?
Yeah, next
Hey, I wonder
week.
if you could, I used to come out with Scotch eggs. Are you going to come out with a
Come
Rolls
out with
Royce?
an engine.
That would be nice.
We're doing. We're going to go and look at the. It's kind of like the education, the museum area of Rolls Royce in Derby, where the history of the engines has over the years, every time an engine's been developed, it goes into the museum, and we're going to go and look at all of the different engines, how they're made, how the parts within the engines are made, what machinery that they're made on, the challenges that people face when they're making these engines. So it will be talking about machining and manufacturing, but it would be a really nice backdrop to be able to have,
Be really interesting.
the history of Rolls-Royce there and some of the engines too. So yeah, that's happening next week. I'm really looking
That's
forward to that,
cool.
because I mean the majority or a lot of the components that we'll be seeing will have been made or could be made on Starrag machines, and that's sort of the purpose, to look at which machine would be used for a particular part of the engine. So we're probably going to make. We've already talked about making between sort of 10 and 20 focused videos on each of these different engines and how they're made. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm meant to be going to Red, but I don't know who it is. It's one.
Either
One of us.
We'll
Is it?
find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Is that from yourself? Oh,
No, I think it's the 25th or 26th of June.
that's
I know
quite
that.
cool though. One of us will go. We'll find out on the next podcast who gets chosen. No competition, Tom.
Well, Red Bull's a very difficult company to get into for the type of
Yeah.
stuff we do, so that'd be great.
When I used to work at TMG Murray, we did go in there. I had a
Right,
big
okay.
tour around there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I remember going once to Cosworth, and they were talking. They took us through. We had a bit of a tour. We got sort of the same tour you did, like through the engines through the years, and they took us to the testing bench. Like, couldn't tell us anything, but literally just showed us an engine on a stand ready to be tested, and then the guy was like showing you like little videos on his phone. That was like as much as you could tell. And I was talking to the guy in there, and he says, "What's the guy from Red Bull called, the F1 guy?
Which one?
Not Toto Wolff, is it? It's the
What
other
Jerry Harrow was, bloke.
Yeah,
I can't,
well, apparently he
can't
said
think.
he was sat there one
Christian
evening.
Horner.
That's it. Mr. Horner, he was saying. He says, one evening I'm sat there, he says, I can just hear her coming down the corridor, he says, and all of a sudden he comes walking in, get me that engine on and get it going, I want to hear it. And I was like,
Wow.
can you imagine him? I've seen how scary he is on the team radio,
Yeah.
listening to him, I wouldn't want him stood behind me.
Yeah.
Cool though.
Cosworth is a fantastic place.
Oh, it's unreal.
I remember there's a
Real
bit of a
place.
sad story from there for me. I used to go there. I tried to sell a machine into there in 2003, I think it was. And I went there on the Friday afternoon, and it was between me and another company. And he said he was going to make a decision over the weekend, but there was something technical we needed to solve. So I went back. I was working for Mill CNC actually at the time. I went back and I said to my technical director then, I said, look, we need to go in Monday morning to see this guy to resolve these
Should have
kind
gone Friday.
of objections. No, because I came out on the Friday afternoon, and he said, let's go in Monday morning. So I rang this guy up and said, we're going to come back Monday and see you and resolve some of these, objections you've got. Yeah, no problem. 9:30 Monday morning. We went back, got there 9:15 Monday morning, walked through into the reception. Sad story. This guy called Pete Bartram said we come to see Pete Bartram, and he died on Friday night.
Oh no!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. He had a heart attack on the Friday night, and that was my sort of memory of the whole Cosworth thing. It was like
Of
we were
course, it
just
stays with you.
completely and utterly.
It was one of the first jobs that I really went to when I started with MTD, and I went with Chloe. And it was great because it was back when I was learning like what we do and how we do it. And that sort
Did
of
you go and
thing.
see the big fast end
Yeah,
systems
just
with all the
that-
Matsuras
yeah,
and
that-
stuff
yeah.
like that?
So we were there and did a nice swap and chips there if anybody wants to look back and find
Yeah.
it, and it's unreal
Great
place.
place.
The best thing about it,
I
and
think I
it
remember
is,
that.
it is really, it's not the best thing about it, it's really cool though, is all the swarf.
Yeah, it's all.
So they
It went down,
they
I remember
dug
that.
out
Yeah.
the floor all the way out, and it all drops down to this massive conveyor,
Yeah.
and just drags it straight up and outside into a skip.
Yeah.
I remember
And I was talking to the guy, and it's like a big industrial skip. It's like, yeah, we go through like 4 of them a day. I'm like,
I miss the
Really?
swarf and chips.
Yeah.
I miss one of those.
we should do one. We should bring it back. We should bring it back for a VIP episode only.
Yeah.
Inside the factory.
Yeah, and inside the factory. We could do it inside the factory. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
I
Well,
don't,
get
are we
in
allowed
and
to say that?
Like, probably not use that name.
Okay.
Outside the factory, but we'll go
But
in the
we'll go
factory.
in it.
We're going to
Well,
do a tour
onlookers.
in a factory.
Yeah,
Inside the
onlookers
factory.
of the
Yeah.
Tour the
factory.
factory.
Yeah,
There we are.
tour the factory. It's like when they left Top Gear, isn't it? And they couldn't use the word Top Gear, so they had to try and find something else. That was really interesting. That, but
Matt Jeunesse did some good presenting the other day, didn't he?
He did, yeah. If you've seen the product, is it the Easy Prod or Easy Box? There's 2 of them, in fact.
yeah,
One of the ones, and we went to France to go and see him. Talking about automation, I guess it fits quite well because
Yeah.
he's got this Easy Prod and Easy Box solution from Engineering Data, which he supplies. The one that really caught my eye was the fact that you've got this kind of wheel in, wheel out. You know, you put your blocks or your billets on there, whether it be turn parts or machining centres, and you just wheel it up to your machine, and your machine's got these like pins on it, and then you just push it over the pins, it connects in, and bang, and then the machine knows exactly where every single part is on the grid that's on the box. I mean, how easy is that for automation? You can just literally, and he was saying in the piece itself, you don't need to buy automation for each machine. You just buy one of these boxes, put the receiving pins on each of your machines, and then you can just manoeuvre the box around, pin, and it literally, once
Crazy.
it's pinned in, it's
What's
away.
you know, like the Robotrex from Lang, you know
Yeah.
how it's quite, it reminds me of the same
Yeah,
trolley.
see, I don't know quite
But-
the mechanism behind how that one works,
That's
but I
what
think
I
this
mean.
one was just like so mobile. It was like he was literally wheeling it around. Right, okay, where do I want it now? Okay, I want to put it on my.
How's it feeding the machine through a robotic arm?
There's a robotic arm, a robot on there.
How does it talk to? How does it like fire the door and how does it talk to the machine?
I don't know the finer detail on that, but I know that the actual.
Phone Matt.
I think the most for me the most important part when you're putting a robot on a machine is how it knows where everything is. You know, have you got to tell the control exactly where part A is, part B is, part C is, but if you can just wheel it up and you've got these 2 pins, these 2 lugs that it connects straight up to, just seems like a very, very easy solution. I guess there must be some way through all of the.
It normally
the
talks to the thing, doesn't it? The IOs, but
it's normally like a sub-program, isn't it? That moves it. But no,
but don't tell him he did a good job.
No,
I won't say it, Matt. I think you did a really good job.
Do you know what? I
presenting.
interviewed Matt a few months ago, and I bet you've seen it, the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I got to, and I yours is the bench to boardroom. I don't want to take on that, but I kind of did like a tiny little version of it and interviewed Matt about his start and how he came up through and some of the stories he's told and some of the stories of you when you were little, but we'll not discuss them. Apart from he's still very upset with you that you beat him in that running race at 8-year-old. He still holds a grudge to that.
You beat Matt. Is that why he's gone so hench? Because he's like he's
still beat him now.
He loves his
take him to
chicken.
the football and we go running from the car park to the stadium. He's like, I can't run because of my knees. I'm like, what is it with these people that can't run because of their knees?
I've got bad knees.
I struggle with
What
mine.
happens to knees?
Playing
honestly,
squash.
Yeah, but you know. Anyway,
So it's just really funny though that even from 8-year-old he still holds a grudge for that one race.
That's
And
why
it's
he
just
eats so
like-
much chicken. I remember going to Match and S's facility, and it's just like he just eats so clean, doesn't he? He's just like chicken, and he's so healthy. Is he still the same?
Chicken and chicken.
Just chicken and chicken is a bit like Jake.
when he does his exercise, he goes in and has a shower in that sort of showery area he's got there as well, which is quite clean and tidy like the rest of the factory, isn't it?
Did he tell you about Paul used to work for Microlock many moons ago. His first ever order, for those that don't know Microlock, you have like a base plate that fits to your vertical machining centre or horizontals or whatever, and then obviously you buy these little modular vices you bolt on essentially. Very accurate within like.
I know where you're going.
Within 3 microns.
First order, but go on.
And this poor gentleman, what was the company, Paul?
Gemini Transitions.
Gemini Transitions. Really excited to receive this Microlock.
This is your life, isn't it?
Really excited to receive this Microlock. Of course, fits it to the bed. Ever so proud of his new installation. And he thought, where are the blimmin' vices? Phones up Microlock. And Paul's, no, I didn't say any vices. You need to order those separately.
It was an oversight, a complete oversight.
It is literally a chocolate Fireguard. It's useless without vices.
But he bought the bases, and I'm sure somewhere in the dialogue he'd said, I've got my own vices that I'm going to put on the top. But he hadn't. So we came up with a deal. We resolved it, and
he sold him some vices.
You sold him some more. Oh my God, that's so funny. Sam Viken.
Oh, Sam Viken, yes. Well, Elliot, our cameraman who keeps
Who
walking
brought
around.
us the cups of tea?
Yes, the gentleman for the brews. We travelled to Sweden. It's the first time I've ever been. And we went to Sandvik Kormen in Sandviken.
Oh, it's got sugar in.
Oh, you must have mine then. Mine hasn't.
Oh.
Now, before we get to the place, which was amazing, the drive there is honestly the most boring thing I've ever done, ever. Because
where'd you fly to? Is it Stockholm?
Stockholm, that's it, yeah. So the problem is then, the car rental isn't even on site, so you have to get a bus to the car rental place. Which was quite nice though, because I met Stuart from Mastercam UK on there, which was
good guy.
So gets in the car, sets all the sat nav up, and as soon as you get in the car, no Apple Play. I'm like, really? Actually, the same car, your
Peugeot
white
3
one.
The Peugeot 3000. Honestly, such a lovely car.
The good one you had, we had the one below it, which was like...
Times are tough, Tom. Budgets.
It was... no, we actually got an upgrade, but I think in Sweden, the language for upgrade means downgrade, and it's back to front anyway. So we set off out, and we get on this like 2-lane motorway. It's like being on the A1 for 2.5 hours. And it is literally just a straight road. Nothing either side.
I mean, I have no idea of the geographics of Sweden. Is Stockholm south?
Yeah, I think so. I think we went north. I think looking at the. But yeah, honestly, you sit on this like A1 type road, and there is nothing. It's just trees either side of you for 2 hours. And I was talking to, I've got a friend.
Yeah, but Elliot's lovely. You can have nice.
Well, let me get on to that.
You got to know each other really well.
Let me get on to that actually. So I've got a friend who lives in Sweden, Swede machinist. We've all seen him. And before I went, I was talking to him. I was like, so what they like about speed limits and stuff like that? And he's like, look, do not go over the speed limit at any point. And it's like, it's something stupid, like for every mile an hour you're over, it's £100. Like, it's something ridiculous.
You'd be bankrupt, Paul. You'd have to refinance, wouldn't you?
So obviously you sat there, cruise control on, so you don't go over the speed limit. This car it even stayed in the lane for you and everything. So I'm just like, sat there.
That's posher than mine, I'll have you know.
And it was like, it was so boring. But when we got there, it just completely changed because it was such an amazing place. First off, though, funny story. We got to the hotel, and they are massively into ice hockey over there. So we went into this like sports bar thing to have some food. All these people with the painted faces
Carl there?
and
Carl not there.
Well, we had his food, and the bill came, and me and Elliot were talking, and I just sort of tapped my card and paid for it. Receipt came, 919 was the final total. I had not realised what it's Kronos into, I think, in Sweden, but what the exchange rate was. So it was like 60 quid. But it came up at like 9, and my heart just dropped. I'm thinking, how am I going to explain to Paul I've just dropped nearly £1,000 on an evening
On a sandwich.
So me and Elliot were a bit like, and then we Googled it, but fine. But then, we on the way there, I've got Elliot talking to me, and he's dying for a song all the way there. And I just got like YouTube music on shuffle because we were talking. Oh, the new Bruno Mars song. It is Elliot's favourite song, and we must have listened to it 20 times.
How's it go, Tom?
How does it go?
Yeah.
You can't tell this story without singing it.
I don't know. I think we get Elliot up. He knows it word to word.
I think I listened to it the weekend.
Bruno
my kids
Mars.
put it on.
Is it Bruno Mars, Lady Gaga? I think their news. Oh my God, he knows it word for word now. So anyway, that was that. But got to Sandvik Coromant, which is really strange because it's just like this humongous building with nothing else around it.
You've been there, haven't you, Paul?
I haven't. It's you.
I've been,
you've
yeah.
been there.
It's really
crazy,
weird though,
yeah.
isn't it? The place of it. It's like, it's just, you come up to this roundabout with trees either side, and just as you get to the roundabout, the trees break, and it's just deserted apart from this massive factory.
Why are they there?
That's where they were founded, I guess. But it is the global
Oh,
headquarters. It's the global headquarters. Sandviken, there's a clue there. But yeah, no, it's...
It just sounds like Sweden has a reputation. It's one of the happiest countries in the world.
Oh,
isn't it?
honestly, well,
I don't know why.
I'll
Because
get
it's
onto
always
this.
so cold and
I was
dark.
watching a video on this the other day as well, and how the children, you're outdoors a lot more,
Yes.
and you know
Yes.
we put our children in cars and car seats, and their first kind of image of travel is in a car seat. You know, shoulders harnessed down. They're tight. They've got no view. They can't see out the windows. And then you look at countries like this, and where they're outside, and you know those trolleys when you go to big parks, those little. I don't know. You know when you go to camping
you see him.
or
You see him walking
something,
down the road with them.
they strap the children in those, so it's kind of fun. The fresh air is in the face, and it's. But don't forget. Do you not think that if people are outdoors more, you're happier? When you've got children and you're taking your
Not in
kids
the cold
outside.
weather.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it was
but
minus
wouldn't you
minus
it's not about
3
the
on the
weather.
second day.
If you
It's minus
dress
20 when we were there.
correctly-
20
Yes.
something.
It was. So me and Elliot both made the same mistake where I'd looked at the weather forecast and it was like 2-3 degrees. So we've got a jumper. That's it. We were literally going from the car into the thing. Oh no, woke up on the second day. It was like -3, and I was like, it was. But so we met the guys from Fast M's there and went in with them. But we had to go to reception to sort of sign in, get his name badges. And as soon as you talk to anybody from Sweden, as soon as they realised we were English, they are the nicest people ever.
But you're not English, are you?
Oh,
from
wow.
Sheffield.
Yorkshire.
Yeah, Yorkshire. Sorry, it's the accent.
You're gonna
You've done
abuse
a
me, get it
post-
right.
You did a post on it,
Yes,
and
I
you
did.
spoke differently
Ayo.
on the post. There we go.
But yeah, everyone is so
Of course you are,
nice.
by the way.
But so we went there to see this brand new Fast M cell, and they got the normal cell which everyone's seen where it's loading the parts and whatever. But then they got this smaller cell, and I've never seen it before, and they can now unload tools off a standard 2-axis lathe turret.
Oh, really?
So they were. It was really hard to see.
What, VDI, BMT?
Yeah, VDI. So it was essentially the robot was going in, unscrewing the nut, pulling the tool out, the actual holder, dropped it onto this conveyor that came out of the area it was in, because it was all like fenced off, you couldn't get in. Brought it out. It then scanned it to make sure the tool was okay, broken or whatever. If it was broken, alerted you so you could go in and change it. But what they had was this tiny little robot who, because obviously they were running it through the day constantly while everyone was there, the robot was changing the tool in and out. So you think obviously every time you set a tool, you've got to preset it or you've got to measure it. Well, no, because they're putting it in with a robot. The robot puts it in at the exact same height every time. So you can skip that step out. So the robot was taking the tool out, putting the new tool in. It was going back into the turret, tightening it back up and machining again.
So is the point to this then that you could buy a machine with a single turret and have a lot more tools?
So
what they were time consuming.
Yeah, well, what they were saying was obviously Fastem's systems are like we talked about Cosworth. It's for real high end stuff. Well, now they've brought it back to consumer level where anybody can have a Fastem system. And even if you can't afford let's say a Matsura MX420 pallet loading machine, you've got just a 2-axis lathe with a bar feeder. You can put a robot on it and run it overnight and take your first steps into automation without needing all the other bits and bobs. And do you know what? The buzz around it was amazing. People were coming up and just like, and they were doing talks through the day. There were the guys from Sandvik Cormorant doing talks and the Fastems guys, and it seems strange, and I don't want to put anybody down, but out of all the partners that were there, they were getting the biggest crowds all day. Every time there was a talk, they had
different, I guess,
huge crowds.
Different. Be interesting to see, because I might be wrong, Tom. I don't see a tool change being in process. I see it being, I made 20 of those, now I've got to make 20 of those, and I need some different tools. That's where it would come into its own.
So you have to change everything when you want to change the chuck, the tools, the program.
I thought if you were doing a production run of, say you had a production run making these things that stick on the end of here, and you've got 1,000 of them, your tool's not going to last 1,000 parts. So you're then going to have to.
It's like a sister tooling mechanism.
Exactly, yeah. It's like having a sister tooling, but without having a sister tooling in the machine.
Yeah.
It will change it for you, and you can just. They had like.
I'd be interested to see one of these in a user case study.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. This was the very first one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Sandvik were using it for tool testing, because obviously they got the bar feeder just running in, and they were putting tools in, hitting it at silly speeds and feeds, and then it was coming out. The robot was scanning it and going, yep, that tool's fine, so putting it back in. So they could say, do 50 of them and walk away, and then it would do it until the robot scanned it and went, no, that tool's broken. And then it'd stop. So, but they could be doing something else. Yeah. Oh, it's only done 40, right, well, let's change speeds and feeds and run again. Yeah. They were using it for tool testing, but it will be coming soon to a case study, and I think it will be really, really interesting to see how it works.
Everyone's trying to create their own form of automation, though, aren't they? They're like the simplest of ideas.
But they're trying to automate, and I don't take this as it's said, but they're trying to automate lower end machines as well. Yeah. So they people who don't have a cash flow of $500,000 to drop on a machine. Yeah. And I keep saying Matsura in its on because it was the last job I did, so it's in my back of my head. Or a DMG Mori or something like that, let's say. People who don't have the cash flow to drop that amount of money on a big machine with pallet loaders or whatever, people are trying to automate what they've got and retrofit what they've got, because it's a cheaper way.
Be good to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be good to see it.
I think there's a place for it, but it's going to be very user specific. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be good to see how it works.
What's the digital twin thing at Mills?
Yeah, that's quite interesting, because Mills CNC Automation, like a division of the business that was set up really to satisfy, similar to what you're saying, companies that might have existing Doosan or DN Solutions machines where they want to get more out of them, run them through the night, run them through the weekend. So their synergy systems are their automation cells, which they can interface to an existing machine, or they can create a whole new cell itself, which is what I was there to look at, the whole lot, to be honest. In fact, they employ 8 people in mill CNC automation, which are continuously developing automation solutions. So that's how a bigger part of the business it is now. But the digital twin aspect was quite interesting, because I look at it from when I used to sell equipment and machines, and it'd be the same.
Or not sell, as we found out earlier.
You always used to get presented with case time studies. Here you go. Can you make this, and how quick's it going to be? And you'd go back and you'd say it's going to be 30 seconds per part, and they'd say, well, how do you know that? And you'd go, well, because the production engineer has taken the drawings and he's assessed the speeds and feeds of the machine, and he's come up with an arbitrary figure of 30 seconds, and he thinks that that's really about what you're going to make it in, but there's no real guarantees. And in fact, in times gone by, there was many an occasion. There was one company in London, I sold 4 twin spindle machines. In fact, this was for a previous company, 4 twin spindle machines, and we'd said we were going to hit 30-second cycle time for these parts, and there was massive volumes. And if it went a second over 30 seconds, the company was basically there was no value in the it had to be 30 seconds max. So we said, yeah, we can do it in 30 seconds. When the machines hit site, I think there was a bit of a cushion in there. It might have been 28 to 30. So when the machines hit site, we were outside of the scope. So it was like 31 seconds, 32 seconds, which had a massive impact on the purchase. It was like, this is no good. And then it was like, right, well, we'll get it down to 30. And then we got it. I think there was a bit of an argument or a discussion between a customer, and it was like, he said, well, you're at 31, so I want some money back. He was like, I want 20% of my investment back. And the customer and my MD was like, well, you tell him, if we get it down to 29, we want 20% extra of the money you're paying, because that's the sort of margins. So I went back to him and said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, if it stays at 31, we'll give you your money back, as long as you agree. If we get it to 29 seconds, we have an extra 20%. Of course, he went, no, I'm not doing that. Anyway, we managed to get it on time. My point being is that nowadays, a digital twin will essentially make sure that you are right. So it will mirror everything that you're going to do, and their automation systems, they can build in CAD, and they can check all the collisions, all of the times things are going to take out, changing the jaws, changing this, and they can give you a definitive map and a definitive model of how much it's going to cost, how quick it's going to be to make the part, the footprint, where each bit's going to position. And you look at these things on the screen and you go, wow, that's really, really impressive.
Well, you know what? It's a bit different from what you're saying, but I went to PPMA. They asked Automate UK to do a conference. So we went to Rockwell Automation, kind of still on that theme of automation, but this is a bit different. They did some talks. They had 4 speakers there, and a couple of the talks were really interesting. One was about hygiene in manufacturing and automation, which I didn't really think about, but actually it's really interesting where, on a production line, when
Where's this going?
No. In automation,
pointing your way,
actually, from your Pom Bear conversation, but it was saying how they have to be so precise now, especially with food and hygiene. In your Pom Bear line, all the welds and everything, you can't have welds with a 90-degree angle now. A lot of the welding and everything has to be curved because stuff gets caught. And then also it was saying the screws.
In his teeth when he's putting it down. That's why. Yeah, that's why you've got to slope it.
Joe, do me a favour. Don't miss another podcast. It's great, because normally all this comes my way, and your ears going your way.
I don't bother saying anything anymore. 15 years on.
You love it though a little bit.
Yeah, great.
Like a married couple.
They are actually. But it was really, and then it was talking about the screws and what screw heads you can use, because where the food can get caught again. And honestly, for someone who is in industry but isn't that close to industry to that level, it was really interesting. There was another one, I've got some facts because I can't remember them, but it was also to do with cybersecurity as well, and how much it's affecting the manufacturing industry, right? Cybersecurity, 87%. There's an 87% increase of ransomware attacks against individual organisations from 21 to 2022. 33% of cyber incidents occur in manufacturing, and 61% of smart factories have experienced a cybersecurity incident. And it was saying about what you need to do and what things you have to put in place. And I can't remember the stat, but the other day there was a really high number of how many companies have had attacks through cybersecurity and everything.
Well, where I used to work, we got one.
Amazing.
We got done by a phishing email, and it's literally the problem with manufacturing is how many people you emailing on a daily basis. You're emailing material suppliers. If you've got,
But that's the same with any business, Tom.
you're emailing so many different people. But the thing is, I could email. Let's say somebody emails here. They could email me, who then need you, who then need Paul, who then need Joe, who needs Joff. So you're pretty much going to open any email that comes in, and that's the thing. We had one come in, and one of the people opened it, and it literally locked the entire screen down completely with a thing saying, if you don't pay X amount, we'll delete all your files.
And he was
And
saying...
the entire business is on that computer.
But businesses are spending money.
Yeah, they're paying it.
They're paying it. And
We
then
had
they're
to pay
saying
it.
he was,
Yeah, we had to pay it because it was the only way. Because they've got your computer. If you don't pay it,
And-
one button, they'll wipe it.
And then he was saying we don't encourage that because when you do pay, do they actually allow you to have the like there was so it
Blackmail.
was well
Yeah, it is.
yeah, but come on, the type of people who are doing all of that as well aren't going to be like
I like your voice back, bro.
well, I kind of please don't do it to us. But it was so interesting on the prevention, and then if you think how that then goes out to automation lines and smart factories and stuff, and what, because it was saying the cost, I can't remember the stats, I'm sorry, the cost of what it does to a business when a line goes down. If you think of some of these big food companies or per minute, what is happening?
In the 90s, Ford was like 20-something thousand a minute. Was it a minute or an hour?
Have you-
No, a minute, I think. Yeah.
Have neither of you two had the Paul Jones email?
Yes.
I've had it.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah,
You probably
yeah.
don't know about this.
Yeah.
But
You
I
never
have
did give me your...
no, you never asked me mine. No, I get.
You didn't get my name right, Paul.
I get them quite a lot,
Yeah.
and they always make me laugh because I get an email saying, "Hi Tom, I'm in a really, really important call, and I need to send
Yeah.
a gift to a customer. Can you get me some? What do you call the
It's
card?
a typical Paul email.
Where'd you get the cards? Like the Google Amazon cards and stuff you buy
Gift
from the
card, like a gift card,
cards.
yeah.
Can you get me some gift cards? But then the best thing is they will go, many thanks, Paul Jones, CEO MTDCNC. And I'm like, well, I know for a fact Paul that I've finished an email like that. We are getting quite a lot.
And always,
I
and
get
always
them quite
posh,
a lot.
aren't they? And if you could expedite this,
Yeah.
it'd be appreciated.
Yeah. But then
I
you
never used words like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when we know.
I get them quite a lot. And then
Yeah.
you'll click on the email and it'll be like abc.lf
Yeah, I
whatever
always-
at hotmail.co.uk.
Oh, your other business.
But yeah, I get quite a lot. And they always come from you, and it always makes me laugh because they always sign it off. Paul Jones, CEO of MTDC. I'm like, well, I'm glad you wrote that because I had no idea who Paul Jones was before you wrote that. But yeah, you always ask me for gift cards. I've sent you so many, but you've never said thank you yet.
But yeah, it was really interesting.
So clearly there is an importance.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the thing is, how many
massive.
people would actually fall for that?
Oh my gosh! I think there is a bigger picture behind
Like,
it.
when
But
I
it
know
seems-
as soon as it comes through with posh writing, it ain't Paul, so we're all good.
Yeah.
But how many people? But if
It's going to get
the
scary
thing is,
with
like you
AI.
said though, if you worked for Ford
Very.
and you were lower down and
You wouldn't
a
know.
boss, you got that email from a boss, and you're trying to win them over and get promoted, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
We've just taken insurance out on it, funny enough.
Sent him some gifts.
Somebody's loving Amazon. At
No,
the moment,
you know
for
what though? I think someone told me about this, and they actually went out and bought the gift cards, and then that you can't return.
No, you
Yeah.
can't,
Like
no,
someone had
yeah.
actually told me
Yeah,
this
because once
story.
the gift card's activated, you can't
Yeah.
take as something you can't.
Yeah, and they did
so,
it.
Yeah.
Did it?
Well,
Yeah.
no,
yeah.
don't worry, Paul. I've not sent anybody gift cards.
No.
Not
But
thanked
no,
anybody for your
it
service.
was really quite interesting. But I think with like Automate UK, it's everyone who was there. It was quite nice because there's always a perfect way. You know, when you do these events and you do talks, you don't want them to go on too long. You don't want them to be too short and different things. And it was actually really nice. Each speaker was on, and then it was a bit of a turnover and one speaker break, speaker networking. And I think we really take it for granted that how important it is to get people together in a room that are facing the similar challenges to yourself. I think we overlook it sometimes, you know, and these events need to happen because people are, it's not just having a chat with your mate down there, as lovely as that is, but people are having similar struggles.
And
It's
the
quite,
thing is,
you know, with
to
that,
be-
I was
not
blown
to
away.
be horrible, but a lot of subcontract shops are now run by. There's a lot of young people like your Conrads, your Marsins, but there's still quite an old age gap
Yeah.
to some of the subcontract shops. So all of a sudden, if you're really struggling and you get an email from Ford asking you to do
Yeah.
some work, they're gonna probably
Well,
click
they know
on
what
it.
they're doing
So-
now, yeah.
So workshops like that to teach them that's not right, that's right, is really good. I really am interested in cybersecurity and how we can help.
Just shows you the value of working perhaps for or doing what you did and being part of that organisation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
And it will get, with AI, it will get really clever. You will not know. You will not know, in time. It's going to get scary.
Until you
Just
go
so
to
you know it's
spend
not
that gift
available.
card, and then
Yeah.
What's not available?
The actual video, like not being too cheesy, but you have to be a member to be able to watch that. That's where they're adding value to their members. So sorry, Tom.
I wanted to watch the one on cybersecurity.
But if you get an email from
you,
me saying you're allowed to watch it, and
If
send
you
me
buy a gift card, you have to watch it.
Yeah.
So is that how you've just done your house backup from all them gift cards I've sent you? Paul's entire house has been furnished by Amazon.
By Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, you were
Yes.
talking. You spoke about Marcin.
Marcin. Oh, well, I've got. Before we talk about Factory 33, I've got a little funny story for you. So, I have allergies. I'm allergic to nuts, and I'm allergic to like seafood, raw fish.
And hard work.
Wow! That was low blow.
He's got a twitch to it.
Oh my gosh,
Broke
you're.
a sweat on that.
Sorry, Tom.
I can't.
I take it back.
Anyway,
Oh, I love it.
ignore Joe. So he messaged us a few days before saying, "Look, have you got any dietary requirements?" So I messaged him back saying yes.
I want a.
Well, when I got there, he's like, we were going to prepare food for you, but I was so scared on what I could and couldn't do. We didn't get anything. And he's like, we were going to go to Krispy Kreme on the way in, but I was scared you'd get I'm like, oh my God, it's a donut.
Yeah, but people don't know, Tom.
And
They don't
he
want.
was so petrified
I
of
would
it.
be the
but
same.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that was it.
Saved a fiver.
I
Yeah.
did. Well, Krispy Kreme, more a tenner.
So if I was eating a bag of peanuts on this table, would you?
Fine.
Yeah.
This is like, I've sat next to you on an
but you
airplane
say
when you've
this-
been eating them.
Had you told me?
No.
No.
That's very
But
selfish.
Matt's
Or
sister,
shellfish.
yeah. Matt's sister won't let us go anywhere near. If we have like peanuts or anything like that, she's just like nowhere near, near.
So we went to.
It's like when you fly, you can't.
Not last year, the year before. Me, Rowan, and Jake, who's actually filming this, went to the FPT open house in Italy. And you've been on, I think. But when you've done the open house, they take you out for a meal on a big galleon ship, and they take you like up towards Venice. And,
Wow.
And so we're all sat on there, and we were really late to go on that job, so they'd not sort of asked what we wanted food. Well, all they served was seafood the whole time, and we like I said, we were late. We didn't even know about it. Me and Rowan hadn't even got jumpers on when we went. So I'm sat outside wearing Jake's jumper, freezing, because they're all eating seafood. And it was that bad. We got to this place where they showed us like glass blowing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The smell made me ill.
Oh
We're
really?
literally physically ill.
Yeah, I was throwing up in the toilet.
So what would happen if you ate it?
Oh my gosh.
I'll show you a picture. It's not for people don't want to see it, but I'll show you a picture what happened. But I just blow up. I come up in like hives all over, and I just blow up. And then I've got 2 EpiPens in my bag downstairs
So
just in
it's the
case.
same if you could you have cod and chips from a fish shop?
Yeah. Anything like that, fine.
But
Just
just
seafood.
if it's
Seafood, yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, I was going to say
I've-
cod's seafood, but it's
It's like
There
raw
tends to be
seafood.
prawns. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that.
Because there's fish and there's fishy fish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you've-
it's a fishy fish.
So you've tried it and you know
Yes.
it. So have you tried the hard work one? What happens if you try that one? Does it?
He'll let you know.
I was waiting. This reminds me, right? This reminds me of the first time I interviewed a guy at Herco. You've all seen that story. Remember when I interviewed Matt at Herco, and halfway through the interview he went, "Oh yeah, I remember you, back when you had a real job."
Oh, sorry,
But I'll let you know what hard work's like, Paul, one day, maybe.
Yeah, no, come on, let's get back to this.
God.
No, that's it now.
Factory
Can't we talk
33.
football or something, Tom?
No.
Factory
So yeah,
33.
and it was really bad because Jake and Rowan were like, everybody else was back on the boat after thing, and they lost me.
So you didn't go back on the boat?
Yeah, I did, but I was throwing up, and they had to come find me, and I got back on, and I sat outside for the whole time.
Gosh.
So yeah, it was a.
Do you have one of those pets?
I've got two.
He's got two
I've got
downstairs,
two.
he said.
Yeah, I've got two. So.
So we were just having sushi. We had sushi.
No, I'm fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is with the EpiPens is as soon as you've used it, you've got to go to the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
And just for the record, it was duck, chicken, and salmon.
Yeah, I'm going to say, let's get this right.
Yeah.
So
back
we
to
talk about
Factory
marketing.
33.
And then also, you two weren't working very hard, so I weren't allergic to that, so we're all good.
Hey,
Now, let's get
banter.
back to Martin, shall we? Let's bring this back. So yeah, I went to see Martin, and oh my god, it was so funny. Some of the crash stories he was telling me about. But we went to find out about EdgeCam. Now I used quite a few CAD systems when I was on the machine, but EdgeCam was never one of them. And it was just what he was doing with it and what he was making with it. And another story about his Matsura MX420 by chance.
There you go.
How it got delivered, commissioned, and they'd only had like 2 days of training, and from that, and then they set it running and ran all through the weekend. He said he got that much faith in it, he ran it through the weekend. And yeah, it was good to see what he was making with EdgeCam and how they were running machines. They got a little Herco VM1 up to a VMX 30Di, I think it is, which is the little trunnion style Herco. Yeah. Then a bigger 30 up to this Matsura, and they're running all through the same CAM processor.
And it's got anti-collision software.
Yeah, it's got everything. But what was the more interesting part of the whole story was that he could take a program out of the Matsura, put it into the Herco, and run it.
Really?
Because all they had to do is change the post processor, which then flipped all the parameters and just run it. So he says if we're
even
running,
though different axes orientation.
as soon as you change the post processor, say, look, I'm not running on Matsura anymore, I'm running on this Herco. The CAM software just knew what it needed to change to run it.
Oh,
It
wow.
says so if we're running parts on one machine and it's getting a bit backed up and we've got a spare machine, it says we'll just put it in there and let it run. So it was really interesting to see someone who was running it like from a little tiny VMC right up to a pallet loading Matsura. And yeah, he was talking about one of the stories we were talking about was he says when he first started using it, he's been an EdgeCam user for like 18 years. He's used it before. How laziness has caused crashes, not for him, for quite a few people. Of when you're measuring a tool in the holder, think, oh, I've got enough, and then running it and taking the top of the collet holder off. And yeah, that's getting edited as we speak, and it was really funny though, because it was one of them things where we set off and the cameraman on the job, Elliot, was like, let's try and keep this to 4 or 5 minutes.
No,
and
not with you.
We
Not with
finished
you.
it, and I went, what was that, Elliot? I went, I think it was a bit long. I think it was about 6 minutes. He went, no, it was 16 and a half.
Yeah.
And me and the problem was with me and Martin was it was literally just two machinists talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I got to the end.
Who was the other one? Sorry.
Definitely.
I'd wrap this one up, Tom.
I'm going to wrap somebody up in a minute. But yeah, it was just really interesting, and he was so interesting to talk to, and some of the stuff he's
they're
been
pretty
through.
good company on social media as well.
Do you know, I was going to say that. It's a place I've never been. Hands
Yeah.
up, I don't know a great deal about them, but really strong on social media.
Just so you know,
Really
when I
good.
last went there, I got donuts because I haven't got the allergies.
Yeah, but we got pepperoni pizza and Red Bull,
Okay.
so can't argue with that.
Can't be bad. Joking aside, in our game, and I'm sure you all get it, someone will phone you up. What machine do I buy? What software do I buy? What cutting tools for this job? And clearly we gotta walk a fine line. But with software, how hard is it? It's incredibly
problem is
difficult.
there's so many different
Which CAD
versions.
cam do we?
Well, this was something else.
Well, we
So
can't, can we?
So
But
they were using automation. So automation in CAD-CAM as well. On how once you've programmed a set surface, let's say, and you change the colour of it, you put a new model in, change the colour to purple, and it automatically programs it for you. Because it knows it's... Yeah, it was really interesting what he was using it for. And again, the digital twin. He was running it he was running it through because he was saying how he just runs it, and the Matsuri just runs.
Yeah.
He says the machine is absolutely brilliant, and I'm hoping one of us, we're going to have to fight over this, I think, but hopefully one time one of us is going to go back in to talk to him about the Matsuri and some of the things he was saying about that machine and just how it runs. He says it just never stops. It just runs and runs and runs. He says, and there's like, normally with a machine, once it's warmed up, parameters will change slightly or whatever, maybe even by micron says, but this thing says just...
Yeah, they've done well. Any other excitement, anyone?
Yes, one more.
Okay.
But this actually relates to our business as well.
So the last ones didn't?
It should have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, me and Joe Amos, love Joe Amos, went to a company called True Lens Services, who does camera lenses.
Oh, that's cool.
And they take vintage lenses and then break them all down and then rebuild them into their own housings and stuff, and they machine all the housings. And we went for ETG, the Nakamura's, and right. We'll start with that bit. The Nakamura's, he was loving it. They'd gone from running parts on 3-4 machines down to 1. Programs had gone from like 6 hours down to 20 minutes. And
what were they making though?
All the bits for the lenses, so like the outer cases,
out like the plastic or whatever.
All our aluminiums, and they've been running stainlesses and stuff on. And he said all the driven tooling. He says trying to get stuff so accurate, and they can now make stuff they couldn't before, which means making these lenses is easier. They can offer more services. But what was interesting is he gave me. I wanted to do a really fancy intro with these lenses, as you do. And he gave me this lens, and it was probably twice the size of your mug. So it wasn't massive. And he gave it me, and I said, I'm just going to ask, how much is this lens I'm holding now? And he's like, oh, that lens is about 150 grand. I'm like, there you go, have it back.
150. Was that much? What's that going to go into, like a TV?
Well, so their lenses have been used, Casino Royale, James Bond, they use them. There's a new film come out, Mickey 17. People might have seen it advertised, I don't know. But they used all their lenses for that film.
What's so special about them? Is it the look, or is it?
It's how they can. Yeah, it's how they look. New lenses are great, but old lenses are just
old.
They show different things, and it was really, really interesting. Cool. They were showing us like so every lens.
Is it just
this is the thing. I thought every lens.
Well, careful, you've got videographers right here.
Don't say that.
But because every single lens is hand built, no two lenses are ever the same. Which means on the side of the lens where it says like 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way around, every single lens has to be marked individually.
Right, so it's sort of not calibrated, but each and you can't.
No, calibrated. So they've got this like cool thing. They put it in this machine and shine light through it, and it puts. I don't know if I put it on LinkedIn. I don't think I did in the end. Puts this like big thing on the wall, and then they literally have to move it back with a tape measure on the floor and go right. That's that, and mark it, and then take it to be engraved. It was really, really interesting to see how lenses are made, and then they took us upstairs, and we sort of got a big.
My phone's ringing.
But it was like they took us upstairs to like the bit you don't see, showing us how they like to rebuild them and stuff like that, and it was. I couldn't have done it as a job.
I shared something on LinkedIn. I think it was yesterday or today, where they've got a lens and it's a macro lens. Jake, forgive me if I've said the incorrect thing, but he was taking pictures of really, really tiny insects.
I saw that, the ant.
Did you see it? And it was a picture of an ant, and you could see, he's just giving me, thanks Jake, thanks, I do listen. And when you see it, if you go on my LinkedIn, you'll see it, but there's, say, an ant or a tiny, tiny little animal, but when you get a macro lens on it, even its eyes or to the side of its eyes is like honeycomb, but it's, like, you can't, to the human eye, see it. And honestly, some of these lenses are so powerful that they can get... You see an animal, but you're seeing the individual finite hairs, that like the lashes of this ant, or not that an ant has eyelashes, but you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. But you see what I mean? Because you got asked to buy one last Friday.
Got what?
You got asked to buy one last Friday. Geoff asked you for one.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was. Joff asked you for one for the.
Well, you've
when we
been
did
giving him some gift vouchers, so why didn't
Yeah.
you?
By himself.
You know, when we
right,
do the tech
yeah,
corners and they're doing stuff, it'd be really good to get it in on the tech.
Yeah.
And that's
Really?
Yeah,
what
you
Joff was
wouldn't
saying.
need something that good, would you?
Well, I
What,
don't
for a
know.
tech-
Well, no, but
Yeah, I know
these
what you
different
mean,
ones.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I saw that video. You shared it. I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But ants awful.
Are any of these stories, Tom, going to appear in the MTD magazine?
Yes, I'm
They
hoping
sound
all
like
of
they're
them.
worthy of it. We were talking
Yeah.
about mill CNC automation, actually. And in the latest issue...
There's some really good stories in that one.
There's a great story, actually, from Air Precision about mill CNC's automation and their... In fact, they've integrated 2 Synergy cells onto existing Doosan lathes and improved their production. And there's lots of that in the MTD magazine, and I'm sure...
I tell you
I'm
what,
sure,
with the magazine, I think it's really interesting because when we went to a company down south as well, I thought you were showing you the dot to dot. Not dot to dot. It's not dot to dot. Spot the difference. Sorry.
No, it's a spot of difference. Isn't it?
But the guys are telling me it's boots on the ground, and this is what Carl says. You know, these stories are, and I did say it in my promo for the mag is, if someone's got a bit of downtime or it's in the canteen or anything, it is really good to
Let's
be
not beat
able
around
to,
the bush and say a lot of people read it on the toilet as well.
or on the toilet if you read it on the toilet. But
Mm.
it's a really good magazine to, yes, okay, there's advertisements and everything to see what the latest machines are out there, but real stories that are happening, you know, not just the UK, but everywhere. But the bulk of it is in the UK, and it's
Sometimes
boots
it is
on the
nice
ground
just
stuff.
to turn everything off,
And just
have some quiet,
read
and just read some good stories.
on the toilet.
I think
Tom.
I think publishing's the
Not all
future.
the time.
Okay.
Digital marketing will disappear, won't it? And it'll all be about magazines.
Do you think?
You-
Please
you-
no.
don't.
I was like, what?
No, I
Please
don't.
don't say
But,
that.
you
no, I was
think-
joking.
You
But
joke.
joke aside, I can assure you, this won't speak of all magazines, but this gets read. A lot of people talk to me about this magazine, and I see it at end users, which is clearly important.
Yeah,
But I think the
good.
thing is, when we talk about this and the success of it, with digital, it is there's lots and
Fast.
lots going
It's
on.
just
It's
too
fast,
easy, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
you
too
can just
easy
move
to
on
just-
from stories and things like that. So you have to try and be different. You have to offer a lot of volume in that, which of course we do. But when it comes to the publication, it is everywhere else is shut off, and you've got 64 pages on this one. Is it 66 or whatever it might be? And you can sit and go through from front to
Slow
back,
down.
and you're not disrupted, I guess, by something else.
The noise,
Yeah.
the noise of social media.
But
It's
what
funny.
is-
I was speaking to Carl about that. I read back to front.
Oh,
like
it's right.
the Japanese. No, I
Well,
think
you know why that is?
it's from the Sun, it's from the
From
Sun
the
newspaper.
sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you read the
exactly
sport
it.
first.
Because I never used to read anything other than sport as a kid.
Yeah, I know.
So I
Yeah.
read back to front.
And that's that.
But one more
that's
thing about the
reality.
magazine that's really good as well is if you do read something, and most stories in there will come with a little QR code.
Yeah.
So if you do read something you want to know more about, a quick scan, you can watch the full-length video.
I wouldn't go around telling people you read back to front.
Upside down, back to front. It's true.
It was
I know.
more along the
I
lines of I
exactly
can't
the same. You
read.
get a newspaper. You start on the back.
Yeah, no, I get to the contents. I'm like, it's a bit late now. No, joking aside, when I do flick back to front, but then when I want to read it, I read it front to back.
Oh dear.
What's your paper of choice?
Pardon?
Your newspaper of choice.
Not one
I'm
that's
green.
very-
I don't buy a newspaper anymore.
Do you not?
Do you not?
No.
My
He can't-
dad does. He loves a newspaper.
He can't,
Sunday.
he can't handle seeing all the Manchester United updates. That's why I don't buy them anymore. I wouldn't even make
What's
them,
your
to be honest.
newspaper of choice you wanted to say?
Probably be the Daily Mail, or the Mail on Sunday.
Oh, online. You can't read their stuff online, can you? Crikey.
No, I wouldn't.
Very.
I would buy a newspaper. Not as
Daily Mail.
my dad always says to me, you should get the Times on Sunday and the Daily Mail through the week. But sometimes he'll have the Times on Sunday, and it's so thick that he's got the time and the times to spend the week reading the different. And there's so much in it. You buy one of those things, and they're like really, really thick.
And how expensive are newspapers now?
Yeah,
by the way? Like,
yeah.
The Sun's
But
a
I
pound
don't
a day.
think
It's
you
like
can
crazy.
replace
Tariffs
it.
coming in
I
and
don't
pushed
think
it
you
up.
can replace. I think sometimes sitting down with a newspaper, it is.
with him.
It's easy.
Just sitting down reading, Paul, to be
Yeah.
honest. Whatever it is, just having some time. Forget the noise, everything like that. It's quite nice. Just sit down, read, and just concentrate on one thing.
Exactly.
And not being...
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
Like-
if you're
like
on
the
your
MTD
phone,
magazine.
if you're on your phone,
Yeah.
like a WhatsApp message might come in, or
Yes.
a text message, or a
TikTok.
phone call, or whatever it might
TikTok.
be, yeah. And you're just like going on, and you know, this you can separate yourself from it and
Yeah.
others. So yeah.
well,
Nice to have both.
can we just have a quick update, Paul, on your TikToking? Have we bought any more games recently?
No,
Have we
no. I did buy some. I think it was at Christmas or just after Christmas when I bought.
What is this hand
It was
movement?
it was like a gun thing. There was these balls were on top of these air. You've probably seen it. Air, and
yeah.
the balls
Yeah,
were
yeah.
sort of floating in the air, and then you'd have to shoot them. But I mean, it was an absolute disaster. The
Well,
whole thing was just rubbish. It
I
just
found
didn't work.
quite an amazing TikTok the other day. It's up there. It's not even just my favourite TikTok. It's probably up there one of my favourite videos. And it's a gentleman doing the what's the Paddy McGuinness show when you come out the toilet and.
No like it, no like
And
it.
I
What
found
was
a
that
gentleman we all know doing that, and it was
God, that was a long time.
quite an interesting
That was
video.
funny.
Yeah,
Was
God,
it
that was
you?
funny. Yeah.
That was-
yeah.
I think
I
on
don't
that
know
note-
why
I
it
was back
just
from an
came-
Arsenal game, I think, with my daughter.
Yeah,
and
that was
she
it. I don't know
like,
why it just came up random on my.
Oh, well, I
I'm
think
sure I know
I think she'd or had seen it, or she said, "Oh, have you seen these ones?" And they were quite a trend at the time.
Yeah, they
weren't
were,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
I
I
did
did.
see one the other day where there was a guy going. You know those train toilets? They're like shaped like that, and then there was a guy going in it, and from the inside he was trying to shut the door, so the door was shut, and there was a
And
guy
you
outside,
press it.
and he's going, and he's trying to shut the door, and so the bloke's just like that. And his mate was like filming it from afar, and you could just see this poor bloke sticking this door, and he was going, I think it's jammed,
And he
mate.
really
It's
let-
jammed.
This guy's desperate for the toilet.
How did it end?
I can't remember. I just thought it was a classic. Yeah.
Oh, just to finish off, and
We
we
got
will
off at
literally finish
Waterloo,
off
yeah.
there. We got off at Waterloo. Matt
Sorry
and
for
I.
taking that detour.
This is a bit of a detour, but just to close off. We've been watching that laugh out, laugh.
Laugh.
What is it? What is
Laugh,
it?
laugh.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the
it's
thing
one
on-
laugh. Oh.
Yeah, the
Is
thing
that
where
thing
they're all
is it on Prime?
It's on.
Yeah,
Go
all
on,
the
Jake.
comedians.
Go on, Jake. What is it?
Jay, what's it called?
What's it?
Last one laughing.
Is it any good?
So
It's brilliant.
basically, it's
Mate,
really
brilliant.
good. There's 10 comedians that go into a room.
I'd love that.
No, watch it. 10 comedians go into a room, right? And they're not allowed to laugh. Bearing in mind, these are professional comedians and they all have jokers. So they're allowed to perform jokers and stuff, which is maybe their own stand-up or something. And they're all sitting there. And I have never seen so many people and women because they are literally like, and bearing in mind, it's 6 hours. So it's 6 episodes, but each episode is half an hour, but it's 1 hour worth of like, it's the first hour, the second hour, and whatever. But it's so funny. The first woman who was on there, and she pretends she's got, one of those leaf blowers. You know what I'm saying? And she's pretending to be on a roller coaster, and she's got a leaf blower between her legs, blowing up against her head, and she's going like this, pretending. And they've all got to watch, but not laugh. Right. I am there watching, like at home, cry. My eyes are tearing. They're like this.
Do they get the clips from social media?
There's no clips. They're in person.
Yeah, they're doing it in person.
It's like going in the Big Brother house, but they are destroying. Like it's you sitting opposite a comedian, and they're using their best lines, and they're like, all of them are.
So it's like us going
They
into a
can't
job
smile
and
or
Joe
laugh.
pretending to be a presenter.
Yeah.
Brutal.
But then you've got like,
yeah.
but it's really good though because you've got
Really
new
good.
comedians like Rob Beckett and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you've got old comedians like Bob Mortimer.
Bob Mortimer was on there.
And it's just, and you've got like, what's the guy? I'm not even going to attempt to
what's
say the
his
guy
name?
called.
Jack D would be good at something like
No,
that.
I know
No,
what's the
he
guy
wouldn't
called.
laugh
I
at
know.
it.
I've not laughed since 1990.
Yeah, he's really posh.
Yeah, he is, but I can't remember his name.
Is it
Jake,
not-
what's his name?
what's his name?
You'll know.
No, not Joe Lycett.
The other guy with like the
Curly hair,
yeah.
suit.
And he says when he first started, he went, "I should be good at this because I've not laughed since the 90s."
Yeah, it's really funny. So I highly recommend because it's
Hey,
just, and then they when
I'll
they
take a
laugh,
look.
they get a
Oh,
yellow
no, you
card, they
need
get
to
a red
watch it,
card,
yeah.
and they disappear, and they get voted out. But if you want a bit of a light-hearted
And you've got,
laugh,
and to be fair, you've got Jimmy Carr narrating this. You what? Sorry. That's it, Richard Ayoade.
yeah, that's the one.
But you've got Jimmy Carr like narrating it, and to
Yeah.
be fair, he is brilliant at it as well. isn't he?
Yeah. He's
Is
like-
it naughty? Is like swearing and things? Or?
Yeah, there is some swearing. Yeah, there is some
I can't
swearing,
watch it.
and they're trying. No, you're quite innocent, but good recommendation for.
No, it's great.
Yeah, to watch.
And
so.
then just have you finished Reach yet?
Do you know what I was
we
just
only
about
wa-
to say?
only watched
Just
one-
about to
only
say, I
watched
need
one
to watch it
episode.
because I'll finish Reacher. That's
Have you
crazy.
finished Reacher?
Well, have they released the second half of it yet? Of the current series?
Yeah, it's finished. Yeah, 3. Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah, because it did like 4 episodes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
it's
stopped.
already-
So I've got
Yeah.
to watch the.
No, not
Don't tell me
Can
what
you
happened.
hurry up and finish it,
I've only
please?
got
Because I
one.
really want to talk to somebody about it.
I've been,
it's brilliant.
I was just going to go on one with
Oh,
this
sorry,
is
we're
our city.
We're boring you.
No, there's another one. This is our city that's meant to be watched, so we'll talk about that on the next one.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, okay, we've gone off topic. So, right, thanks everyone. We've got an exciting few weeks ahead of us as well. I've got some busy filming days coming up, and then I've got a little holiday. That went silent.
And a trip to Spain to HP.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to Spain
Ooh,
twice. I'm
that'd
going
be
to
interesting.
Barcelona and then Spain with my family.
Can you fit me one of them printers in your suitcase on
We'll
the way back,
see.
please?
I'll try.
I'll
That's
make you.
cool.
I'll make your daughter some more stuff if you get me one of them back.
Bribery.
If there's any recommendations, can we get a bigger, larger Halo helmet for me?
Yeah, for it to fit on your head. Anyway, thanks team, and look forward
Thank
to
you.
the next one.
No, thank you.
It's
Thank
good.
you.